Okay, so what is my feel here? Here's the thing. If I'm being perfectly honest, right? Like it's I don't think this was a bad UA. The last one was way worse. Um there's a little bit of work that's gone into the mastery shizzle. Um they really thought out like one mechanic for wizard, sorcerer, and warlock. Made some of what I think are like the most obvious changes. Like warlock, like, warlock's Eldritch Blast now scaling with wizard level. Warlock now also just gets Eldritch Blast, hands the fuck down. Like, stuff like that. They now made certain spells literally specific to classes. But like, apart from like the very big warlock change, it doesn't feel like they did much, right? Like what really changed in these classes? Rage, which I'm pretty sure was community feedback. For fighter, what changed for fighter? Indomitable, because there was community feedback on it being a bad feature. Second wind, action surge got nerfed, which again is probably the most obvious piece of shit. Like it I don't know. Maybe it's because like it's a giant fucking document, but I feel like most of what I said in these videos was just like, yeah, that feels the same, or yeah, sure, it's a small and good change. Like, I don't know. Is that just me, or does it feel like apart from like the weapon mastery system and Warlock, not even really being as reworked as one would think? Like they made Mystic Arcanum a general thing, and just every single fucking spell that you could get through an invocation, you can now get through Mystic Arcanum, is really the idea, let's be honest. Like, it's not a bad UA. Definitely not. I don't think this is a bad thing. I think they did a couple of really good things. There's a couple of really good things in there. Indomitable, I think, is really good. The change to action surge is really good. Barbarian, what they did to Rage was really good. Frenzy needed to have a decent buff, so I think they changed Frenzy really well. Against Sorcerer, I'm just probably personally not the biggest fan of, which probably has to do with the fact that I find the changes slightly underwhelming, if I'm being perfectly honest. Warlock, I'm mostly curious if because the fact that they made it like an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma thing, like, honestly, just, it makes me think. It legitimately makes me think that, like, Warlock is still going to be like a multi-class thingy. You can now multi-class Cleric and Warlock, to give a dumb example. I don't know if that's going to get you anything, but you have enough invocations at level 2 that, have a decent amount of value. Like, if you think about it, like, pretty much if you're going into like a Warlock dip, you're not taking a single Eldritch Blast feature anymore. Like, Eldritch Blast becomes fucking useless. Right? But, you know, getting a free mage armor on yourself as a wizard is not a bad thing. Devil Sight is just in general not a bad thing. Eldritch Sight, not a bad thing. Eyes of the Runekeeper, not a bad thing. You're You're already getting your... You're also getting your pact bonuses. Okay, sure, you only get the upgraded version at level 5 Warlock, but, you know. Lessons of the first ones. Just the fact that you can literally get a first level feat. Being able to cast false life on yourself without expending a spell slot or material components. Like, if you're being honest, just like a 2-level Warlock dip is probably worth it on a lot of classes. And I don't know, the only thing you're really missing out on is like that epic boon in the final feat. If you go to level 20, which I don't even know, I don't know. Like, am I, like, Warlock, like, don't get me wrong, I think they fixed the Warlock problems, quote unquote. Because, you know, you don't get the short rests. Like, we all, like, if you're being honest, like, it completely makes sense that short rests spell slots got removed. Although I still find it weird that they didn't added it the fuck back to Sorcerer, just in general. Like, come on, really? Like which one was it? What feature was it? Here, this one. Like, just really though, like. Actually, speaking of which, now that we're kind of talking about that, because long rest and short rest are in this, are in the glossary. Is there a thing that stops this? Yeah, like, there's no limits on your short rests. Like, you can technically short rest 8 times in the night instead of long resting. You get your 4 sorcery points, you spend your 4 sorcery points on a spell, and you're done, right? Is there a limit on the amount of on the amount of spells that you can get, for example? Is that like a limit that they at least put in? Like, it feels like this is so abusable, and like, it felt like they hit fucking whatchamacallit? It feels like they hit Coffee Lock the same way that they've hit, you know, Barbarian, Sorcerin, Sorlock, like, you know, Warden or whatever you want to call it, and then they do this. Like, is there a thing like here, as a bonus action you can transform unexpended spell slot into 1 spell slot. Creating a spell slot, create a spell slot. Yeah. These are temporary spell slots. So why would you long rest ever? Right? Because the worst part is I don't even think long rest says anything about you have to long rest or whatever. I don't know. And then Wizard, I mean, they didn't change much about Wizard. They added, I think, one of the coolest features they could have added to Wizard. So overall, I get why they made this UA like a 5 class UA, because I don't feel like they changed a lot. They changed a couple of really important things that needed to be changed. So I would say this is a decent one. This is a decent One D&D installment. Definitely an improvement from Druid and Paladin. So yeah. With that, it's possible that I might share some other opinions later down the line. But I think for now I've spent enough time whining about this. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I will very likely be continuing this further down the future. So if you want to stick around for that, you know where to find me. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been 7 Draws to 6 from 7th Roll. Until next time.